What's up, everybody? This is Jake with the almost live, boring daily news show. I'm coming to you live. Of course, it's pre-recorded once you listen to it, but I'm doing it live. So for me, it's live, and you guys can figure it out. Anyways, today is July 22nd. It's a Monday, and it is hot. It's hot where I'm at, and it is just blistering hot, and it's humid, and it is nasty. But I'll tell you what. I'm still going to do this. I'm going to knock out this daily news. But before I get into that, I do want to mention that on tomorrow night's big show, we have special guest Adam Tod Brown. And if you haven't heard of Adam Tod Brown, he's a little bit of everything. He's a stand-up comedian. He's also the founder of the Unpops.com podcast network, where they have, I believe it's over 12 shows. And I've actually been checking out the shows lately. He hosts a conspiracy show. The conspiracy show, they tackle titles like the Space Shuttle Challenger conspiracy, 5G weapon theory, Pizzagate, CIA influence on the media, FBI versus Tupac Shakur. Anyways, that's just one of his shows. Then he has this other show where it's called Unpopular Opinion. And basically, he's a writer for Medium.com, and he puts out these almost weekly articles with an unpopular opinion, such as something like prohibition wasn't that bad or something like that. And he writes these articles, and then he goes on his weekly podcast, and he gets into detail about these opinions that he has. But here's the kicker with it. When I'm describing it like that, you think it's a super, political kind of a show, but it's not. Adam Tod Brown sits down with comedians weekly, and they discuss these, it really runs the gamut, even though the show's about, prohibition. They talk about all kinds of topics. And I'll tell you what, I've been listening to it, and it's one of the best shows that I've found for podcasting. And once again, that's Adam Tod Brown. You can go to a website, unpops.com. And anyways, Adam's going to be on our show this Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, live on Facebook Live. So you're definitely going to want to tune in to hear Adam Tod Brown. It's going to be a really good show. He's a guy that's really gotten around. He's all over LA, Hollywood, the whole 9 yards. He's doing all kinds of interesting stuff, and he's got a phenomenal podcasting network. So this guy's the real deal, and he'll be in on 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time this Tuesday. Also, along with that, we're going to have a person on the show. I don't have her name in front of me, but she's basically, she creates organic CBD oils, and we're going to be talking to her about the benefits of CBD oil and stuff like that, along with all the other stuff that we do. But now it's time for me to get to the news. Oh, before I get to the news, remember you can support us at patreon.com/Radio Underland, and send us some support, and we will, keep doing what we're doing here. I hate promoting myself. I really do. That's probably one of my biggest drawbacks of doing this whole podcasting live show and everything that we do is I just do not like self-promotion. Anytime I mention like any donation or crowdfunding service, I always feel like I'm like the guy standing on the side of the street that will work for food. And so it's something I guess I have to get used to. But like I said, patreon.com/Radio Underland. And now we're going to get to the boring news. Now, I don't know if you guys have seen this, but there's a Georgia state lawmaker, and apparently she's been caught lying about her allegation that she was told to go back to where you came from by a white customer in an Atlanta grocery store. On Friday, Erica Thomas, and she's a Democrat, and she's a state representative, and she alleged that a white man called her a lazy son of a bitch and told her to go back to where she came from. Now this is where it gets interesting, okay? So this representative from Georgia, okay, she goes on, she makes this tweet. Okay, and then she has the nerve to go on and she starts live streaming where she's crying. And I'm going to play that for you in just a second. And she starts playing all this stuff where she's crying, talking about this old white guy told her to go back to, where she came from. And then it started creating a firestorm on the internet. And you had other senators such as Ted Lieu, and he starts tweeting out, and he says, both at the real Donald Trump and at the GOP, both of those have grossly underestimated the number of Americans who have experienced the racist go back insult. We all know how it hurts, and we are going to vote. I predict a Democratic wave in 2020, just like we had in 2018. So she starts getting this support from her fellow senators. And by the way, Ted deleted that post. Unfortunately, Dean Cain, Superman, coming in with the super savior right there, and he screenshotted it and retweeted it out. So that's how it all started. But then the guy that she alleged that did all this, he finds out about it, and he starts responding. And he starts responding and saying, hey, I never said that. And he's like this super outspoken Democrat, In fact, he had already tweeted tweets about people saying, go back to your country. You know, he had been calling it out and shaming it. And so he was this super, super leftist Democrat. And people were starting to label him, because he's a white male, as a white Trump America supporter telling people to go back to their country. And that's how this senator was trying to play this up to be to the media. I mean, she's totally cashing in on this. And this is one of the reasons why I hate politicians, because they will do anything. This is an extreme case. I have to admit, this is an extreme case. You don't see this every day. But just a person going on and outright, just flat out lying about a situation to promote an agenda, to come out and slam Trump. And you know me, I'm pretty... My political opinions, I think all politicians suck, whether they're from the right, whether from the left. I think it's all a bunch of horseshit. And these people that go out there and start playing like, oh, I'm Team Democrat or I'm Team Republican, and the Republican Party or Trump can say no wrong, or the Democrats can say or do no wrong. You guys are friggin' fools, because all these politicians are out for themselves. The type of personality of a person that goes into politics is just, they're maniacal. I mean, it's not normal behavior. So I can't stand politicians at all, for the most part. I mean, there might be a few, but off the top of my head, when I'm sitting here right now, I can't think of any that I've said, you know, that's a real role model, somebody I want to follow. So this situation's going on, right? And in fact, let me play you a little bit of her live stream when she was tweeting about this whole situation, so you can actually hear the liberal tears falling off of her cheek. Or the extremist liberal tears falling off her cheek.
So you know what I decided? I decided to go live because I'm very upset, because people are getting really out of control with this.
How out of control? I think you're going to tell us.
With this white privilege.
Oh, here it goes.
Stuff. I'm at the grocery store, and I'm in the aisle that says 10 items or less. Yes, I have 15 items, but I'm 9 months pregnant, and I can't stand up for long.
Okay, all right, we'll give her that.
And this white man comes up to me and says, "You lazy son of a bitch." He says, "You lazy son of a bitch. You need to go back where you came from."
Now, that was a gut-wrenching cry right there. Okay, you know, when you at first listen through of this, you're like, man, what, this guy's a real son of a bitch telling her to go back to where she came from and all that other kind of stuff. But when you listen to this in hindsight and know that this is a lot of bullshit and this is a dramatic acting, it starts to take on this whole different level of, holy shit, I cannot believe this.
And he says that. I said, "Sir, you don't even know me. I'm not lazy. I'm 9 months pregnant." He says, "You're ignorant."
You know, the thing is,
you're ignorant.
Well, if she lied about all this, what are you going to believe of this?
It hurt me so bad. I'm sorry.
I bet it did.
Everything in me wanted to just tell him who I am and how I know.
You know, for me, I'm not much of an actor myself. You know, that's not one of my things. But I do like watching the occasional, flick. And the acting on this is just so bad. It really is. The over dramatic, just did anybody buy this when it came out the first time? I mean, I'm sure people did. But to think that it's just a politician trying to get across an agenda and trying to just manipulate people, it is really, really, really disgusting. And so she goes on and she keeps going on this tirade and she repeats it over and over a lot. But she definitely confirms that this guy told her to go back to her country, which later she recants and says, well, I'm not too sure if he said that. But here, let me give you a little bit of a response from the guy that she said was doing all this to her. Give me just 1 second.
I walked up to the 2 customer service associations from Publix, asked them what can be done in a nice manner. They said, corporate policy, we can't do anything, but you as a customer can say something. I took a step outside the store, thought about it, turned around, walked up to Miss Thomas and said, ma'am, not to be rude, my exact first words, pointing at the sign, which shows it on the surveillance camera, which I've seen already. Pointed at the sign, 10 items or less. She berates me after that. I don't remember exactly what she said, but on camera she approached me, came towards me as I took a couple steps back. She said a few words. I do not recall exactly what those words were. I said, you're selfish. She did mention she's 9 months pregnant. I said, it doesn't matter in this case. There's no point on this case. There's 2 empty lines. You don't need to be in the express lane. Then I stated, she said a few words. I stated, well, you're selfish little bitch. I did say that. That's all I said after that, and I walked out of Publix. Her words stating on Twitter and her video, stating I told her she needs to go back where she came from, are untrue. I am Cuban. I am not white.
So I guess the advice to Erica Thomas is before you take somebody to take a whole setup of a political agenda and go online, you better do a little bit of background checking, because you happen to get a Puerto Rican liberal to frame up for your racist comments and you go back to wherever, I don't agree with the comment. I don't agree with Trump saying go back to where you came from, talking to the squad of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and the other 3. I don't agree with that. But at the same time, you can't go around and lying about other people and making up situations to get your social media attention. So for my asshole of the day, I definitely nominate Representative Erica Thomas. I think she's a lying piece of shit and is part of the reason why I hate politicians. Now on to the next news story. Now, I don't know if you guys have seen this, but basically in Pennsylvania, the school district over there is telling parents that if they don't pay up their children's lunch bills, their kids could end up in foster care. A little extreme, you think? Well, I don't know. Well, here's the actual story. A Pennsylvania school district that threatened to have children placed in foster care over their parents' unpaid lunch tabs is now facing criticism for going overboard. You think that might be just a tad overboard? The Wyoming Valley West School District sent letters last week to around 40 parents saying the district was owed around $22,476 in lunch money, and warned them that unless they paid, their children could be, and I quote, taken away from your home and placed in foster care. And this was according to Joseph Muth, the director of the district's federal programs. Overstepping the boundaries a little bit there, and we're okay with this, America? Jesus, I can tell you. I don't know. This place is going down a crapper. It really is. But that's just talking about an overstep. That is just such a broad overstep. I mean, $22,000 amongst 40 people. How much is that a person? Let me see. Let me do the math on that real quick. As I whip up my calculator right here, 22,500 divided by 40, $562.50. How many meals are these kids getting? I thought the school meals cost like $1 or $1.50 or $2. That is a considerable amount, but still threatening to put their kids in foster care. Come on, man. How do people send out these emails with a straight face? Totally preying on people. I don't get it. On to the next serious news story. And this is another story that kind of chaps my hide because of the way that the media portrays it. Because it states, and the headline on the story was, Tesla kills 2 people in San Francisco. And so you know what they're trying to imply by that? They're trying to imply that a Tesla was self-driving itself, and all of a sudden it ran over 2 people in San Francisco. That's what it's trying to imply. I mean, when's the last time you saw an article that said, Ford kills 2 people in a crosswalk in San Francisco? It doesn't happen. This is a cheap shot at Tesla. And the actual story is a man and his wife were hospitalized. The wife was hospitalized. He actually died after their trip to San Francisco turned tragic. On Sunday around 2 p.m., police said the driver of a Tesla ran a red light on Taylor Street at O'Farrell Street. So a driver runs through the red light, plows right into the couple. And after hours of questioning, San Francisco police walked the suspect Tesla driver, a 22-year-old woman from Hotel Spiro, into the back of the waiting squad car around 7:30 p.m. Officials say the suspected driver has both San Francisco and Vallejo addresses. So really, it doesn't matter what car this person was driving. It could have been a Yugo, for all we know, and she ran a red light and ran over 2 people. The fact that it was a Tesla had nothing to do with it. But the headlines, it's all about that headline attention grabbing, trying to say that a Tesla ran over 2 people. No, the Tesla was just a vehicle. The person that pulled the trigger and was driving recklessly and ran a red light. Well, I mean, why don't they put up her name? Why isn't her name in the top of the article and just say her name ran over 2 people? Because that's not sensationalism. So what is it? Is Tesla not part of the good old boys crew? Elon Musk hasn't bought his way into the pockets. and the media, you see these articles all the time. I read another one about a Tesla being in an accident, and they blame it on the car when the car had nothing to do with it. The car wasn't on autopilot. It was never suggested the car was on autopilot. It was just an idiot driver doing dumb shit and getting into an accident. So watch the headlines, people. They're out there to, trip you up. A Serbian man was arrested Friday after calling in a bomb threat on a Lufthansa jet. And this is why. Because he wanted to keep the 2 flight attendants serving the passengers in the country. He had tried to pick up the attendants the night before, but was shot down. And hoping to keep them on his home turf, he said there was a bomb on the plane bound for Frankfurt, Germany. He said he made the threat after he couldn't find the attendant's hotel room. He's been charged with causing panic and disorder. The crew and passengers were disembarked and rerouted 8 hours later. Now, that is a massive crush. If you're willing to go out there and call in a bomb threat on a plane just to keep 2 hot stewardesses around, you've got other mental problems going on. But this is real news. Can't make this shit up. Jamie Brown was born in St. Louis on July 11th at 7:11 p.m., weighing in at 7 pounds 11 ounces. Representatives for the 7-Eleven convenience store chain have started a college fund for the baby starting at $7,111 and have provided her family with some child care goods. What are the chances of that? On 7-Eleven at 7:11 p.m., 7 pounds 11 ounces. Well, 7-Eleven's cashing in on that media attention, let me just tell you that. Hackers are in the news. Hackers have infiltrated Bulgaria's tax record database, meaning they now have the names, birthdays, addresses, and other personal data for more than 5 million citizens. Police have arrested a 20-year-old suspect who works in cybersecurity, believed to be connected to the hack. He faces 8 years in prison. CBS and AT&T are at a standstill in negotiations to increase the network's carrier fees on platforms like DirecTV and Uverse, so CBS has taken itself off the air. Also down are CBS Sports Network and Smithsonian Channel for some customers. CBS representatives say it could last a long time. Their last contract was finalized with AT&T in 2012. 2 German backpackers touring through Venice stopped at one of the oldest bridges there spanning the Grand Canal to set up a camping stove and make coffee. A local reported the pair to the police, who kicked them out of the city and slapped them with a fine worth $1,000 for violating decorum rules. The ordinance is part of recent rules implemented by local legislators to ebb the influx of tourism to the area and keep snobby locals happy. New York City and Boston are set for record-high minimum temperatures over the weekend. Official measurements in both cities show outside temps never drop below 80 degrees even overnight over the weekend. At 99 degrees, both JFK International Airport and Atlantic City, New Jersey also set record-high temps. California has approved a measure that will allow restaurant patrons to bring their own reusable cups and plates to have their food served in. Restaurants will have to maintain strict protocols to avoid cross-contamination. The law will also permit concert and festivals to reuse dishes and cups while serving patrons. Now, this just seems, I'm not too sure if I want to go to a restaurant where some homeless guy just took his plates from his van down by the river, and he's bringing it in because he's very green. He's very motivated to, keep the environment clean, that he brings in his dishes with cockroach eggs and everything into the kitchen where my food's being prepped. I'm not too sure if I'm a fan of this. And maybe it's just germ phobia, or maybe I'm a little I don't know. It just gives me lots of reasons to creep out. I don't like eating at people's houses, and I don't want them bringing their houses into the restaurant where I'm dining. But this is the world that we live in. I don't know if you guys have an issue with that, but I find it odd. I'm all for, saving what we can, but this is just a little over the top, in my opinion. The top 10% of wealthiest households have a tight grip on the stock market. They own 84% of all stocks, according to MarketWatch. Meanwhile, more than half of Americans 55 and older have nothing saved in their 401k or individual savings accounts. And this is according to the Government Accountability Office. It's just sad. 50% of the people out there over 55 don't have $1 in their 401k. Okay. Now, where's the most expensive place to live? Well, you might say Paris, you might say New York, but what I'm reading here is Iceland is the most expensive place to live in Europe. Okay, well, I jumped the gun a little bit. I should have read. We're talking about Europe. Iceland is the most expensive place to live in Europe. In 2018, prices arose across the board, an average 56% higher than the rest of the continent. France reports that a dozen eggs can cost around $5.62 or a plain cheese pizza around $20. Switzerland took second place with 52% higher prices, followed by Norway 48% and Denmark 38% higher prices on average. Now, last week, if you might recall, I was doing a story about a truck driver that got into an accident and they found out that he was watching porn, and that's the reason why he got into the accident. Well, I hope to God that this story isn't related. Now, I'm just making speculation. I'm just making speculation and connecting the two together. Because the real story here is that two Southwest Airlines jets collided on the tarmac at Nashville International Airport Saturday night. Both were pushing back from their gates when the tail of one clunked the winglet of the other. The winglet that's the little upturned nub on the end of the wing, the big wings. No injuries were reported, but photos on social media are circulating, taken by passengers, and show a bit of damage. All passengers were rerouted on other flights. No word yet if it's because the pilots were watching Pornhub, like the truck driver. That's just an allegation, and it's just a possibility of opinion. It's not real news. But let me get back to the real news. More Middle East tensions. Iranian forces seized a British oil tanker carrying 23 crew over the weekend. They claimed that the ship had turned off its tracking system and ignored warnings. But British Foreign Minister Jeremy Hunt said the tanker takeover was in clear contravention of international law, especially because the ship was in Omani waters, not Iran's. The latest trouble seems to come after Iran and the UK spent weeks taking turns seizing each other's ships, and the U.S. shot down an Iranian drone that was circling an American battleship. So, pull up the lawn chairs, man. We're teaming up for this World War III, so just get ready for it. It should be, where's Wolf Blitzer? I want to bring Wolf Blitzer back on CNN just like he did Desert Storm. That was primetime TV. I'll tell you what. Representative Jerry Nadler claims that Robert Mueller's pending appearance before Congress will air very substantial evidence of wrongdoing by President Trump. This will feed the Democrats' case for impeachment. Mueller will take 2 appearances on the Capitol Hill this week, once before the House Judiciary Committee and once before the House Intel Committee, both on Wednesday. Mueller has said he will not go beyond the scope of the report he submitted to the Justice Department after a nearly 2-year investigation. Of all issues, scandals, and dramas talked about so far in the 2020 election, the biggest one has escaped criticism: the national debt. None of the 20 Democrats even mention the issue on their websites, according to the Daily Caller, but neither does President Trump's website. Worse, moderators at the Democratic debates didn't ask a single question about the problem, despite most of the Democratic candidates proposing massive new spending. Meanwhile, the Office of Management released a report last Monday projecting the 2019 deficit of $1 trillion. That's money that would be added to the $22.5 trillion national debt that we already have. Neither party has a leg to stand on when it comes to spending. The debt grew $9 trillion while Barack Obama was president, and the $1 trillion deficit under Trump is as high as it ever was under Obama. And the economy is roaring, so it's what do? You got to do something. We have to do something. We got to get this country on Weight Watchers. We got to start shedding the pounds. We got to cut 150 billion here and 150 billion there. We've got to start trimming back. Otherwise, we're going to be the fat country that has a heart attack with its financial arteries clogged with overspending. It's just something we have to do. It's not going to happen overnight. We're not going to cut the budget by $1 trillion in one fell swoop, but we've got to start coming back. We got to cut back. We have to go on a diet. This country needs a freaking financial diet, and it needs it ASAP. President Trump crashed a wedding on Saturday. The couple, P.J. Mongeli and Nicole Marie Mongeli of New Jersey, are huge fans of the president and even held their weddings at the Trump National Golf Club in Bedminster, New Jersey. They said they dreamed of Trump actually showing up, and guess what? He did. And then he showed up at a wedding after party where the crowd broke out in chants of USA, USA, USA. In fact, I was at a comedy show the other night. It was Chad and Corey. It was the dirty comedy show at the Ontario Improv. And they had a lot of USA chants going on over there. Chad and Corey, I guess they kind of cater to a little bit of that redneck lifestyle. You guys have seen them, bald heads, big beards, goatees, that kind of thing. Anyways, it was a funny show, I have to admit. This is a total side tangent, but that show over at the Ontario Improv, and I believe they do it one night a week. I think it's on something like the third Wednesday, or I don't know. But they do it one night, not a week, a month. And it's the Dirty Show at the Ontario Improv with Chad and Corey. It was funny, man. All the comedians there that night were good. Really good. Well, I know we just got done talking about how nobody's addressing the budget. Well, guess who's coming to the rescue? Yes, the red-skinned, red comb-over Mr. Super Cheeto Man himself. President Trump is now telling his advisors to prepare plans for big spending cuts if he wins re-election. Lately, Trump has been a big advocate for raising the debt ceiling to avoid possible federal default on its debt in September. But now, other White House aides are forwarding plans to reduce federal spending $150 billion in any new budget deal. The cut appears to be the brainchild of White House Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney, and he's a budget hawk. A major spending cut, while desperately needed, would be a big change from Trump's first 30 months in office. So, yeah, maybe he's going to attack that. Maybe that's going to be one of the major stances of his, 2020 campaign, is that he is going after the budget, even though he shit all over it and pissed all over it this first time around. He's going to come back and say, yeah, I know I said I was going to, fix it the first time, but, you can't get it all done in 4 years. But this next 4 years, we're going to definitely get this budget under control, which it's impossible to do. It's impossible to get it in a 4-year term. This needs to be a long-term goal of the United States, regardless of party, where we start getting this spending under control. For those of you, we talked about earlier that, 50% of Americans over 55 have not $1 in their 401k. Well, guess what? There was no winner for Friday night's Mega Millions drawing. Tuesday's drawing will be for $168 million or a $108.8 million cash payout. So, there's hope. There's hope. At least one of you may be able to, score the lottery and get your retirement taken care of. The weekend box office is in. And coming in at number 10 was The Secret Life of Pets. Number 9, Midsommar. Number 8, Annabella Comes Home. Number 7, Aladdin. 6, Stuber. 5, Yesterday, which I did see yesterday. It was a decent movie. I actually enjoyed it. Number 4, Crawl. Number 3, Toy Story 4. And number 2, Spider-Man Far From Home, which came in with $21 million. And number 1, you guessed it, Yep, Lion King brought in $185 million in its first week out. So Lion King is at the top. I haven't seen it yet. I do plan on seeing it. I'm assuming it sticks to the original. Unlike Little Mermaid, I don't think they made, Timon and Pumbaa into different animals or changed the color or anything like that. I don't know, but I definitely want to go see it. Now, in entertainment news, Adriana Partridge, of Hills fame, has been granted a temporary restraining order for her and her daughter Kira against ex-husband Corey Bowen. According to court records, the Hill star filed an emergency motion early last week after she accused her ex of domestic violence. Now, Corey, who has denied the allegations, has been ordered to stay 100 yards away from his ex and their daughter, pending an investigation. Avengers Endgame is now the highest grossing movie of all time, with $853 million in domestic ticket sales and nearly $2 billion abroad. It has beaten out Avatar for the all-time sales crown. The movie was formally re-released last month to help edge it over the finish line. Iggy Azalea's got some beef with Peppa the Pig. The rapper released her second album, In My Defense, on Friday, which was the same day that the popular children's character's first album dropped. The two went back and forth on Twitter, with Iggy saying, "Collab with me now, or you'll end up on the breakfast special, Peppa." Iggy's album has hit number 22 on the iTunes UK chart, while Peppa was at number 55. And in the US, Iggy's album was at number 5, while Peppa's has not charted. Mark Hamill was surprised with Comic-Con's Icon Award on Friday. The 67-year-old, who is best known for playing Luke Skywalker in the Star Wars franchise, and if you don't know that, you live under a rock. He was taking part in a panel when organizers interrupted to present him with the award. The Icon Award goes to those in the industry who have brought comic books and arts culture to wide audiences. Amber Portwood and her boyfriend Andrew Glennon were talking marriage before her violent outbursts. A source close to production of The Teen Mom told Us Weekly that Andrew spoke about marriage on numerous occasions, and his friends attested to his faithfulness and genuine intentions with Amber. That all changed earlier this month when the 29-year-old went off after her boyfriend with a machete. He was reportedly holding their 1-year-old at the time. Andrew filed for protective custody of the child, and Amber now faces 3 felonies. Count them, 1, 2, 3 felonies. Marvel fans, get ready. While presenting at Comic-Con on Saturday evening, Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige announced a slew of new movies set to be released over the next couple of years, some dropping as early as next spring. Some of the films include Black Panther 2, a Blade reboot, and Hawkeye. Also, Marvel announced that Natalie Portman would be returning to the Thor franchise. The actress who played the God of Thunder's love interest in the first two films will return to play the title superhero in the fourth film, Thor: Love and Thunder. Chris Hemsworth, who played Thor in the first three films, will also return. Cameron Boyce's mom opened up about her late son in the heartwarming Instagram post. 2 weeks after the Disney Channel star passed away, Libby Boyce uploaded a black and white photo of the two of them, captioning it, "He is my compass." On July 7th, the Descendants and Jesse star died unexpectedly. This was in his sleep after suffering a seizure. He was 20 years old. The original Prince Eric says the guy rumored to be in the running to play Ariel's love interest in the Little Mermaid live-action remake is spot on. Christopher Daniel Barnes, who voiced the prince in the 1989 classic, told TMZ that Harry Styles would be an excellent choice because he actually checks all the boxes of a Disney prince in real life. So there you go. No, nothing, whatever. We're not even going to get into the Little Mermaid shit again. I'm not doing it. I'm not. Kanye West and Kim Kardashian West lobbied the president to help get A$AP Rocky, he's currently incarcerated in Sweden, released. On Friday, Donald Trump tweeted that he had spoken with the famous duo and planned to call the very talented Prime Minister of Sweden. In an updated tweet on Saturday, Trump said he told the Prime Minister that he would personally vouch for the rapper's bail, and the two teams would be speaking further. Happy birthdays today to Selena Gomez, who is 26, and also, who else's birthday is it? David Spade. Yeah, how old do you think David Spade is? From Tommy Boy, The Benchwarmers, Saturday Night Live? Well, he's 54. John Leguizamo is also 54. Don Henley, famous drummer and singer from the band The Eagles, is 72. Danny Glover is also 72. And Alex Trebek, who looks really good for being 78 years old. And I'll tell you what, this has been the Daily Boring News with a little bit of side commentary, not too much. I got to get out of here today. But once again, let me remind you to tune in tomorrow night, Tuesday, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Facebook Live. You can find us at Radio Underland. We have host of the Unpopular Opinion podcast, Adam Tod Brown, and he's going to be on the show. It's going to be great. And also, if you'd like to help support the show, you can definitely do that at patreon.com/Radio Underland. That's with a U. It's not a W. It's Radio Underland, like under the table, underground, Radio Underland. Other than that, I will see you guys tomorrow night. I will not do a daily news show in the morning because I will be covering the news tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Make sure you click like, subscribe, wherever we're at. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, the whole 9 yards, iTunes, wherever you listen to podcasts. Make sure you subscribe to the show, and we appreciate that, and we thank you very much for that. I will talk to you later. This has been Jake with Radio Underland with the Daily Boring News. Have a good one. Be human. It should be easy to do. Just be fucking human. Be compassionate. Cut some others some slack. You see a guy on the freeway wanting to merge in, let him in. Don't be a douchebag. Be a human. And try to be a good one, okay? I know it's might be stretching it a little too far for some of you, but at least be human. Have a little compassion. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.